Hey guys, this is Shane here from Echo Soundworks. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can blur vocal samples and vocal chops like this. So I actually got this idea from a friend who uses FL Studio. There's a built-in blur tool in Ableton, like we see here on screen. I thought that's a really cool, unique way to do it, because most people will just crank up some reverb, add a little bit of EQ, filter out the highs, maybe the lows, and then manipulate it, maybe bounce in place or resample it in Ableton a couple times until they get the desired result. And it was easier, so I wanted to see if I could replicate it in another DAW. So I went home, loaded up FL Studio, and investigated to see what was going on with it, and it's pretty unique. Let's dive into Ableton and see how we can replicate this in pretty much any DAW. All right, so for the remainder of this video, I'm going to be working in Ableton, but if you don't use Ableton, you're still going to be able to do what I'm going to show you how to do in this video, because all you really need is a convolution reverb plugin or another type of plugin that loads what's called IR files or impulse response files. So I want to add some blurred vocal chops to this section of this track. Let's take a quick listen. All right, you get the idea. Now here's the vocal track that I want to add the blur to. All right, so I'm going to add a little bit of processing to it. Ultimately, some little alter boy to shift the format and a little bit of delay. But before we do that, let's just load up the convolution reverb plugin in Ableton Live and check out some of the different impulse responses. So if you don't know what a convolution reverb plugin is, basically an impulse response is what you load into a convolution reverb plugin. And an impulse response is a snapshot of a physical space. It could be a room, a hall, a canyon, anything. And it recreates the reverb in that physical space. So for instance, if we look at the impulse responses here in convolution reverb Ableton, we have halls, plates, springs. Let's go to halls for now. And we'll just leave it on this, the Berkasti M7 Amsterdam Hall. So that's at 100% wet, and that's generally what you're going to hear when you have a convolution reverb impulse response at 100% wet. You can still make out most of the vocal. Well, the interesting thing that's going on with the blur in FL Studio's Ableton is that instead of that impulse response being a physical space, it's actually just white noise with a fade at the beginning and the end, which is kind of a crazy concept, because essentially what you're doing is with white noise, it covers pretty much the entire frequency spectrum. It's going to mask a lot of the sound, and that's why it blurs out vocals so well. So let's do that now. Let's take pink noise, because it's still going to work. So I'm going to drag that on to a new audio track inside of Ableton here, and I'm just going to trim this. It doesn't need to be. Actually, we can keep it that long. Let's see what happens with a longer file. And let's just fade out the beginning and the end, just kind of like that Edison where it kind of had this bell curve. And let's just select that and hit Command J to consolidate. Now I'm just going to drag this into the impulse response, and that's the shape we want. And let's just take a quick listen and see if it works. All right, so I used a pretty long file, so let's turn down the size and the decay. And I'll turn on my other effects, and let's take a listen to it in the context of the mix and see if we get any cool parts jumping out that would kind of be a good one shot to maybe tuck in this section of the track. All right, so let's actually trim this section out, mute it. I like this first vocal hit a lot. So I copy and pasted those over, and this is what we have. All All right, so before we leave, let's quickly just A/B again this white noise, or we used pink noise, but some type of noise being our impulse response versus an actual impulse response of, say, like a hall. Right? It just has a different quality. It doesn't blur the sound as much. I guess that's why FL Studio and Edison, they called that blur. So definitely give this a go, guys. It's a really cool technique, and it's pretty specific, I guess, to FL Studio, but bring it to other DAWs, other workflows, because it sounds really cool. And it's a really easy way to create some really nice blurred vocals to add some nice ambience to your tracks. All right, guys, that's going to sum up the video. If you have any questions or comments, post those below, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. If you guys aren't subscribed to the channel, you know the drill. Hit that subscribe button. If you do, smash that notification bell so you get an update when we release new content. We are going to be dropping some free serum banks this week, so you do want to subscribe. You do want to hit the notification bell so you don't miss those when we release them. All right, guys, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.